Alright, hello and welcome to the Benzo Rehab Dungeon episode 53. It is August 13th, 2021. I am your host, Michael Deebs. Not joining me, as never, is not Danko Suvin from the Instagram handle at DankTheLuz. He is dead, I think?
Yeah.
Or dead to me, I don't know, but we'll figure that out later. No, he's actually he's going on a different podcast this evening. Since they have a much larger group over there, I said it would be okay for him to not make them all reschedule on our account, and he would be able to record that episode with them. And he's going to be on Bringing Down the Grindhouse podcast, which I posted in the Instagram story earlier today. If you want to follow them, their Instagram handle is at BDTGH_podcast on Instagram. Joining me today, though, actually joining me today is John the producer from the Instagram handle at Discopathic, which I believe is still just an empty Instagram account.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, just gonna keep pointing that out every time we have this conversation.
Yeah, it works little by little to get me to think about doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, one day. Now, John, I know that it's just gonna be you and I tonight, and HR once told us that we should probably never be in the same room alone together. So if at any point you feel uncomfortable, you can feel free to quit.
I thought that I wasn't allowed to quit because I've tried multiple times, but
I'm using duplicitous language here.
oh, okay.
You're not allowed to quit. You're also not hired. And yeah, I don't care if you feel uncomfortable. The HR lady doesn't tell me what to do. All right, her job is literally treating humans as resources, and I'm supposed to listen to what she says. I don't think so. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm making a stand here for all the men who have been wrongfully accused.
Oh shit!
Don't actually mean that. But no, you are joining me this evening. How have you been? How have you been?
Good. Yeah. I wish I was talking about witches instead of the news.
Well, we are actually planning on having a guest on sometime mid to late September, I believe.
Oh, really?
Who actually her undergrad thesis was something about witches. I forget exactly what she told me it was. So I feel bad if she's listening right now, but she should be happy that I remembered the conversation, because that's also not true, actually. I should remember conversations I have with people, and they should not feel grateful that I give them that bare minimum respect. This is going to be a very introspective episode.
Yeah. Dive deep.
Yeah. Really peel back the layers of my psyche and get to some deep-seated issues I have with boundaries, and also treating people like they deserve to be treated. Speaking of treating people like they deserve to be treated, we're gonna start this episode off. The majority of the episode's gonna be spent, hopefully, on talking about capitalism in the context of climate change, and how capitalism is woefully inadequate for challenging climate change, fixing climate change, reducing emissions, etc., etc. But first, we're gonna start off with this lovely piece by Cory Booker, and I'm calling this a piece because it's got to be performance art. So, some of the listeners may remember that all of 2020 there were some massive protests and riots demanding that the police be defunded. Many people calling for their total abolishment. I'm in the abolishment camp, but the general cry was at the very least stop giving these assholes a bunch of money. And Senator Tommy Tuberville, I believe he's from Alabama. If Cory Booker will say it in here somewhere. But anyways, he proposed an amendment to one of the bills that's passing through the Senate. I think it's the reconciliation bill or something like that. Basically saying if a local area, a locality, a municipality, whatever you want to call it, does anything to defund the police, that the federal government will have the right to stop all funding from the federal level to that locality. You'll be happy to know that the vote for this amendment passed 99-0, meaning every single Democrat voted in favor of this amendment, which is
what the fuck.
Yeah, which isn't. This is on the Senate level, mind you. Like the only like real progressives that we have, and I think since it was 99-0, I think Bernie Sanders is like the only one that didn't vote on it, but he didn't vote no on it, which I may be misremembering that factoid. This may be something that I'm just mythologizing. So if that's not the case, someone can feel free to correct me, but. My understanding is that every senator, every Democratic senator, Bernie Sanders is, of course, an independent technically. He just caucuses with the Democrats. Every Democratic senator voted yes on this amendment. Anyways, this is Cory Booker's response to the proposition of this amendment, and like I said, it's a beautiful piece of performance art. You can feel free to pause it at any moment in time if you want to give maybe some critiques of his performance.
What if it's good though? Like, what if it brings me to tears?
It's not. I promise you that much.
I am so excited.
Oh,
this is.
Already,
yeah.
I literally thought this would like cut into a Key and Peele sketch.
It does kind of sound like I always get them. So Jordan Peele is the one that does the directing now, right?
Yes.
So
and Kegel, whatever.
Kegel.
Keegan Michael Key or whatever.
Yeah. That rings true in my head. Yeah, it sounds like Key though, right?
Yeah. But and doesn't he kind of look like him too?
I mean, they're both bald, half black men, right?
Yeah, he kind of looks like Obama's anger translator.
Yep, exactly, right.
Yeah. Terrifying.
Perhaps the highlight of this long and painful and torturous night. This is a gift. If it wasn't complete abdication of Senate procedures and esteem, I would walk over there and hug my colleague from Alabama. And I will tell you right now, thank God, because there's some people who have said that they're members of this deliberative body that wanted to fund the police, to my horror. And now this senator has given us the gift that finally, once and for all, we can put to bed this scurrilous accusation of somebody in this great esteemed body.
Can you pause it, please?
They wanted to fund the police.
The way he's talking, you'd think he was like a southern white senator. I say, we must put to bed these scurrilous accusations.
Like,
and then just like, to my horror, and he puts a hand on the head and looks around. Like,
so like all of Booker's like fucking energetic, fucking aggressive like speeches and like performative confrontation. Well, no, like definitely performative confrontation.
He's a real diva. He's a real like actor's actor.
Yeah. I bet he wants. Actually, he did run for president, right?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Very,
yeah,
very brief and short-lived run, but
yeah, but you know, you need it. That's why he's turning on the fucking like weird Southern.
Yeah.
Michael Key playing fucking a white Baptist preacher, fucking like performance, but like and like, but so now he's like simping to Republicans.
Literally simping. It
Yeah.
doesn't show it in this video. It was hard for me to find like a complete video of the whole exchange, but at the end of the speech, even though at the beginning he claims it would be an abdication of the Senate procedures, he does actually, in fact, walk over to Tommy Tuberville and hug him. So we still have a little bit more to go of this wonderful performance piece by Cory Booker.
So let all of us, 100 people, not walk, but sashay down there and vote for this amendment and put to rest
What the fuck?
the lies. And I am sure I will see no political ads attacking anybody here over defund the police. And I would ask unanimous consent to add something else to this obvious bill. Can we add also that every senator here wants to defund the police, believes in God, country, and apple pie? Thank you.
What the fuck is going on?
I don't know, man.
Like
the adrenochrome must have hit super hard that day.
like I don't know, what is that that weird threshold like when
the uncanny valley.
Yeah, the uncanny valley. You know, like his acting is hitting an uncanny valley where like it's almost like I feel a little gaslit. Like I feel like, do I have an empathy disorder?
Well,
you know?
no, you should feel a little gaslit because Cory Booker, you know, kind of scored some political points by earlier claims that the police should be defunded in some way or funds reallocated. So him putting on this performance and telling you it's outrageous that anyone believes that the police should be defunded. Well, I mean, I don't think he was ever genuine in his statements, but you know, he at one point said the police should be defunded. So he's part of that scurrilous accusation that is actually accurate and true. And you know, if he was a more honest person, he would stick to that. But you know, it's just him calling to defund the police was just as much political theater as this right here, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to start this off with a fun clip because the rest of this is just going to be a fucking slog.
Of just like, yeah, no, we get to laugh at the ridiculousness of Cory Booker, which I don't know, maybe he's just like black male Hillary Clinton, you know, like there's just like a lizard.
We already had that with Obama.
Well, but was Obama an actual like robot or lizard person?
I don't know, man. You see all that stuff about his fucking birthday party?
People, huh?
You see all that shit about his birthday party?
No, I did not.
The height of the Delta, fucking, I got a fly coming over here. The height of the you know, Delta variant like spread. He decides to host like a massive party on Martha's Vineyard. So
gross.
Yeah, it's super cool, man. It's just,
you know, like
it's just what the rich fucking people do nowadays. And like the guest list was just like shit tons of billionaires, of course, because they all just like rub their dicks together, and like some of them may have vaginas. I don't know.
You know, like the fantasy of like, I don't know, being able to fulfill my any material desire or whatever. Like, I don't have much ambition about other than living a generally good life.
Yeah.
But if I did like have as much money as Obama, if I won the lottery, I can't imagine like what would like go through my like brain to like be like, oh, I'm gonna have my birthday at Martha's Vineyard. Yeah. Or if somebody even suggested that to me, I would tell them to get out, you know?
Yeah, like
And
I
like,
just, I
who
just
are
want
you?
to have some drinks and like go to bed.
Yeah, like I could do something so much better than Martha's Vineyard. Like it's weird and gross.
What if it's your birthday and Jeff Bezos is like, dude, you want to go to space with me?
I don't think that I could be in the same room as Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
I don't think I could be.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I would tell him no. I don't want to go to space.
No.
Space bothers me.
Yeah, no, I
let's...
don't. Not unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What is there any more to this?
I don't think so. Let's go ahead and play a little bit more. I think he just kind of takes off the mic here and then he walks over to Tuberville and it cuts
Tuberville.
before he actually like gives the hug, but
yeah, he's going to publicly fillet a Republican senator so people will give him money.
Like even the fucking Senate.
The question is
like,
on the
what
amendment.
a fucking clown.
As for the ayes and nays.
Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be.
Yeah. All right.
The
Yeah,
clerk will
we're
call
done.
the
We're done
roll.
with this. We're done with this. So yeah, I read a fair bit of the IPCC report on climate change to the UN. Is it worth reading? No, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not for anybody who already like understands the climate crisis is here. I don't think it's not gonna tell you anything new. It's just validating your fears, I guess. Which sure, but like I said, if you already have like the concern that our planet is slowly turning into a oven that's gonna cook the life out of us, you're already on the right track. The timeline for when the planet turns into an oven that cooks us is a bit faster than anticipated, I think, in a lot of cases. And I mean, it makes a very clear case. What's funny about it is because 195 countries have to sign off on this report for it to like even be like something that's presented to the UN in this way.
Yeah. So I'm guessing academics from across the world have
academics from across the world, a lot of compiled evidence and stuff like that. The technical, like there's a couple of reports, right? When you go to like the IPCC's webpage, you can read the summary, which if you're gonna read it at all, I recommend you just read the summary for policymakers. Then there's the technical summary, which is like getting into like a bunch of like fucking math and charts and stuff that like isn't really gonna matter to you. The summary is more important. And then I think there's like a third report that's just like all the raw fucking data. Like, who the fuck wants to go through that, right? I believe data science is fake, anyways. But who am I?
You're right. I should get a second job as some type of fucking scientific data analyst.
There you go. Yeah, it'd be great.
But I've not been proactive enough in my job here.
Well, that's one of the major failings of this generation is not having enough hustle culture, I believe is what they call it. So if we want to first get rid of that advertisement for
gross.
yeah, subscribe to a news site. No thanks. We can scroll down a little bit. Got some good imagery. So yeah, the report basically confirms climate change is being driven a lot by human factors. A long time ago, I heard a really good explanation for why climate change is driven by human factors, despite like of course the planet has like a massive carbon output, right?
Yeah.
But there's the carbon exchange, which is the planet doesn't typically put out more carbon than it can absorb through, plant matter and whatnot, and then turn into oxygen. So, the explanation that I heard a long time ago that kind of made sense and kind of like made me realize, like, oh, okay, so this is how the argument is kind of made that climate change is caused by humans. Let's say you have a, I don't know, 500-gallon pool, right? And this pool has a circulation system, and every day 1 gallon goes into the pool, but 1 gallon also gets cycled out of the pool. That's like the normal carbon exchange. 1 gallon goes in, 1 gallon goes out. It keeps itself at the same level. The pool, let's say that, you keep 500 gallons in this pool. Let's say it has a capacity of 505 gallons. Well, let's say, you have this normal carbon exchange, and then you decide every day to take a thimble of water and pour it on top. And that thimble of water, doesn't really mean a lot in the short term. It'll affect things here and there. The overall water level is going to rise because you're no longer a gallon in, a gallon out. You're a gallon and a thimble in and a gallon out, and it keeps continuing this way. And every day you keep adding another thimble. Well, over a certain period of time, you've now exceeded the capacity of this pool, so to speak. And that's what the human kind of addition to the carbon exchange is. The report basically confirms that, yes, over, the last 100 or so years, human carbon output has started drastically affecting the climate. There's a couple of, a couple of processes, especially in the ocean, with like how currents and some what's the word I'm looking for? Some like jet streams and sort of stuff work that normally like are able to cool themselves off. And basically what's happening as a result of our climate change is that these jet streams are now turning into like a feedback loop where they get hot, they stay hot, and they come back around, and then you've got hot climate returning to this area, and then you add more hot to it, and so it's just, continually getting hotter and hotter because of that. It goes into the impacts of what will happen with climate change, which is, a lot of people don't recognize this, but we are technically still in an ice age, and it is a benefit to human life to remain in this ice age in some way. The like actual technical term for it is interglacial period, because yes, some people are right that over long periods of time, glaciers will evaporate eventually. The Earth will warm up, but we're talking about like the difference between 100,000 years and like, oh shit, we accidentally did it over the course of like 200 years.
Well, and I mean, like, and would it even be 100,000 years without like the level of human impact? Like the sun's not going to be like dangerous to life or.
No. 100,000 years is just kind of like the thing I threw out there.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, no, we would be in this interglacial period for a very, very long time if there was no human interference. And basically what we've done is, through all of our industry and our output, we have accelerated this process to such a point that it's now turning into like a violent feedback loop that we're, and I mean violent very literally, because we're seeing, massive, once in 100 years sort of weather events on like a monthly or even weekly basis sometimes. So yeah, and I wish Dorian was here to make this a little bit, because this actually like directly feeds into like accelerationist theory. Not that we're pro accelerationist, but just that, these are feedback loops of action that keep feeding into each other and creating a hellscape, literally, because everything is fucking on fire.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of the major rundown of the IPCC report. You can get into like, and I think the messaging of this kind of thing is kind of bad sometimes when it comes from the science community, because it's like, we've reached 1.5 Celsius degrees of change, and it's like, nobody fucking knows what that means.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. No, like, especially in America, we don't even use the Celsius system really. So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But and also like sometimes like these people aren't like great at communicating. Too.
no,
I feel
they
like.
aren't.
Yeah.
They aren't.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is, and this is something that I have as a critique of the paper, and this is understanding that this paper has to be approved by however many countries in order to like be affirmed as like part of the UN's like general knowledge, I guess.
Yeah.
The UN's fucking fake as shit, so let's just go ahead and throw that in there. Like, the UN doesn't do anything useful most of the time.
Yeah. No, they like it's like, oh man, this report is terrible. Nobody's ever going to do anything about it.
Mm. So there's a lot of verbiage in there that's like, it is virtually certain that mankind has been a driving factor in climate change, and it's like, can't you just say they did it? Like,
Yeah,
it is known, but since it has to go through like so many countries, and certain ones that may have a bigger pull than they should, like the U.S. Get to dictate a lot of terminology just through like sheer dollar amount funding or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of terminology like, it is virtually certain, or it is uh like, I think near irrefutable is one of them, or something like that. But yeah, there's just a couple of terms in there that just made me like kind of like go, God damn it, why can't we just say we know it to be true? So let's go ahead and go to the next link. Sometimes I just have links in here so I remind myself what I wanted to talk about. So yeah, you would think that the Democratic Party, the major progressive party of the United States of America, would maybe acknowledge this report and do something substantial about it. But unfortunately, a bunch of key, and this is part of the wonderful thing about how the filibuster really works is
But nothing can ever possibly get done.
yeah, nothing can ever possibly get done unless it's a couple of Democratic senators siding with the Republican side in order to pass a fracking bill that allows more fracking. Well,
Yeah.
the interesting thing about this bill is that it's not necessarily allowing more fracking so much as it is banning the ability to ban fracking.
Yeah. Which like
that's just more fracking with extra steps.
yeah.
This is gonna be a side note. I wanted a little pep in my step, so I went to the store and I wanted to get a kiwi apple Red Bull. Those are pretty good, pretty delicious. But all they had was the tropical flavor, and I gotta say, this is dog shit.
Yeah, it sounds like dog shit.
It's horrible. The vodka was the only saving grace of this drink.
Vodka always makes it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Soda water, gross.
Yeah.
With vodka in it, tolerable.
Way better. So on top of that, if we could go to the next link. So this headline says U.S. calls on OPEC and its allies to pump more oil. In reality, it was actually Joe Biden himself basically pleading with the international oil community to make more oil happen. Because gas prices, I don't know if you've noticed, are spiking upwards pretty significantly. There's a lot of supply line issues with everything in general, but gas is one of the more harder hit industries right now, or oil is the more harder hit industry right now. And so prices on gas have been rising a shit ton. Where I'm at right now in California, San Diego area, it's $4.50 a gallon. That's at like a cheap place is $4.50 a gallon. So Biden, recognizing that people need gas, has decided to call on the international oil community to pump more oil, which obviously flies directly in the. And this happens after the IPCC report, mind you, in which it's made very clear to the United Nations, basically as much as we can interpret it, the entire world.
Yeah.
The entire world that like actually makes decisions for the world, I guess. That we need to drastically change the way that we do business, the way that we have structured our society. And Biden's next move is, well, we need more gas because the gas prices are really going to kill me in the polls, and it's really going to hurt us in the midterms, sort of stuff.
Yeah, because you're less likely to win an election as president if gas prices are high.
Which is sadly true.
Yeah.
And you know, the reason that this is because, you know, like I said, gas around my area is $4.50 a gallon right now. As somebody who has to commute quite a ways, that you know, ultimate, like, I'm not the kind of person who's gonna bitch about this and be like, God damn it, God damn Joe Biden raising the gas prices or anything like that. Because I don't really consider that like a problem. Like I want gas to be like prohibitively expensive, and just see like how society reacts to that. Like when people have to like, they're not calling out sick, they're like calling out of gas. That'd be hilarious to me.
Yeah.
And it would just be like funny to see how like the structure of like capitalism just collapses because it no longer has like it can no longer burn oil the same way it used to.
Yeah, no, that are the rich and powerful are gonna have to share the resources.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah.
So yeah, Biden calling on OPEC to make more oil, and the reason is, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, lots of people have to commute. So if we could look at the next link. So the Census Bureau estimates show average one-way travel time to work rises to an all-time high. The average commute of every American is 27.6 minutes now.
Wow, that is right on what my commute is.
I was gonna say it's a little bit short for me, so I guess I'm on the higher end of this. I'm about at like 35 minutes now, and part of the reason that I commute 30 minutes, I used to have a 12-minute commute, which was pretty nice. I actually there was one point in my life that I worked adjacent to my workplace, and literally like I had to show up to work at like 9 a.m. and I would wake up at 8:50 and just kind of like saunter over there hungover and whatever. That was actually my first job as like a construction / maintenance worker was this job where I worked right next to the apartment complex that I was doing maintenance for. But I thought that was, you know, I always thought that was like the ideal situation because like I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to like prep a whole lot. Just wake up, walk over there, and do my work day, and then walk home. Sorry, I gotta pour myself another drink. Normally, I would do this when Danko would be rambling or something. All right. So let's go ahead and go to the next link. Because the reason that I believe people are having to commute more is because they've been priced out of all the housing in the major economic areas in which they work.
Oh yeah, if I didn't take the toll road, it would take me like like 48 minutes.
Oh yeah, for
and like
sure.
an hour and a half to get back home.
Yeah, and the reason you don't live next to your work, if I may be so bold as to make a guess, is because the area you work in is prohibitively expensive to live in.
Yeah. To actually live close to my work, like I would have to live in
Well,
like
that's what I mean. Yeah.
yeah, because like my home office is in a richer part of a suburb of Austin that I live in the one sweet spot in between a larger city and a smaller city that I can afford, like on like a boundary.
Yep.
But if I wanted to live in somewhere affordable closer to where I work, I'd have to like go out into like some country backwoods boonies, which I
Yeah.
guess I could, but I don't want to.
Well, no, and that's fair. You know,
It's not
I could live in a dirt hut, off the side of the freeway if I really wanted to, and that would cost me essentially nothing until I got caught, I guess. But
yeah.
um, yeah. So, these economic centers where people have to work, and especially, like, yeah, you can get a minimum wage job in any kind of town you're work or living in. But we'll see how that's problematic after we get through this article and kind of a point that it makes. But so this article is the problem with the BlackRock buying houses meme. It's written by David Dan, who's a really good journalist. I recommend. If you like reading news and you're sick in the head like me, the American Prospect. It's prospect.org. They do really good reporting. It's definitely from like a leftist perspective, or maybe not even like leftist, but like kind of socialist bent, I would say. Um, really good reporting. But anyways, David Dan's been reporting on housing pretty extensively since 2012, which he goes into in this article. And the long story short of this article is that it's not just that BlackRock is buying a bunch of houses and that's what like is killing the housing market right now. What's really killing the housing market is that there's been no development of like actual affordable housing that's been done in a long time.
Yeah.
It's all been a bunch of housing that ends up getting priced way out of range of anybody who's working, like a minimum or like slightly above minimum wage job. And we can go to the next link to talk about that. So, how many minimum wage jobs does it take to pay Bay Area rent? If we go down, I think it's like 4 minimum wage jobs full time that you have to work. Yeah, it takes the equivalent of more than 4 full-time minimum wage jobs for a worker in San Jose or San Francisco to afford a 2-bedroom apartment and still have money left over for food, healthcare, and transportation. So like the bare minimum, like you're not going out for drinks or anything like that. You're living and probably paying the medical bills that come along with working 4 full-time jobs at minimum wage. So and
they probably have strict tenant number laws too, I bet.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And I know people who live in the Bay Area, and the joke is like, oh hey, we have this slightly renovated basement for $5,000 a month. And it's very similar to New York, which New York has like closet spaces turned into like walk-in closet size fucking apartments that are like, I don't know, $3,000 a month or some shit like that.
Holy shit.
But if we go down a little bit more, I believe there's more data. It's something like there's no place in America um, that you can effectively afford a 2-bedroom apartment at minimum wage. Most places require you to at least work 2 full-time minimum wage jobs in order to pay for a 2-bedroom apartment. And why a 2-bedroom apartment is used as like kind of like the standard is because you got a lot of single parents, or just like the ability to like, I have a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm fortunate enough to make quite a bit more than minimum wage. But if I didn't have a 2-bedroom apartment, this would be a fucking nightmare for me, because I would have nowhere to do like any of the work that I do, any of the hobbies that I have, this podcast. So, this room that I'm in right now is the second bedroom, and it's my studio where I have, all my like artistic shit kind of stuffed in any which way that I can. And I know that like behind me it just kind of looks like a barren shithole, but that's a different story. So yeah, so most of these economic centers, especially, you have to imagine that in San Francisco, in San Jose, you've got a bunch of minimum wage jobs that are worked there. You've got your retail clerks, your fast food workers, whatever.
Whatever, yeah. Whatever these rich people need to get their fucking niceties.
Right. I mean, they're
or all of us get our fucking things that we want.
Of course.
Huh?
And these people working these jobs have to live outside the city because they can't live inside the city that they work in. And even in my case, where I'm making quite a bit more than minimum wage, in order to live in the city I work in, I would have to make like, I don't know, 10 grand more a year. And I don't have like a bad job by any means. I mean, it like sucks and I hate it, but all things considered, it's supposedly like a good, desirable job where I'm making a pretty decent amount of money. But I couldn't live in the city that I work in, and this is something that I've talked with about with other managers that work in the area I work in. All of them are like, yeah, no, I live out in bumfuck nowhere because it's impossible to live in this city. And these are people that make substantially more than me. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's not just me, it's just the problem here. And so the point I'm making here is that we have to keep having to have gas because people need to make it to their jobs in order to live, which is part of how capitalism works. Is you got to work, and the other way that capitalism works is also you get priced out of the housing market, so you have to live far away, and that means you have a longer commute, and that drives that necessity for gas. And so Biden can't say, all right, let's stop all gas production, because that would destroy people's livelihoods. And since we have this deep aversion to realizing that money is fake and we can just give it to whoever we want, which happens regularly, by the way. If you're a bank, you get free money all the time. But if you're a worker, then free money is very hard to come by. And in fact, over this last year, where people were getting somewhat extended unemployment benefits, there's been a major backlash against that, especially in conservative circles, where it's like, well, who, especially people like fucking Hannity or Tucker Carlson or whoever, just being like, who's paying for all this free money? And it's like, dude, the money is fake, so nobody's paying for it because it's not real.
Oh my god, their outrage is just like, I don't know, like
it's so performative, and like,
yeah,
it's clearly forced, and anybody, and it's funny because like if
I think Hannity actually gets mad sometimes though.
No, I do think Hannity is genuine in like how shitty he is.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson is obviously just like in it for making money off of like a persona.
Yeah, I think Tucker Carlson's the kind of person that could wear any face. This face is just set,
Yeah, no, he actually, if memory serves, he actually had like some pretty progressive views like early on in his career as like a talking head.
Like, so did Bill O'Reilly. Like,
and then once they realized, oh, I can make
one point in 1992 or something stupid.
Yeah, and then once they realize that, oh hey, I can make a shit ton of money off of saying black people are bad and wink wink and well, not black people are bad, but there's some problems in the black community, wink wink.
Yeah, and suddenly their books are written at a 6th grade level.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever read those not to bring up the Marine Corps again, but those books that they had in the duty hut, those like fucking like right-wing fucking conservative books?
No, I think I always had a good sense about that. Um, yeah, yeah. The only books I remember reading in that duty hut were the Red Badge of Honor. War is a Racket was in there for a while, which is funny as fuck to me.
Yeah, until it got taken off the list. Yeah,
Yeah, until it got taken off of the Commandant's reading list. Wonder why. Yeah, no, I never read those like far right wing books. And then one time when I got like desperate for reading material, there was a Warhammer 40K book in there that I read instead of like,
but like hidden away in a corner.
yeah. I would rather read about the grim darkness of the future where everything is war than read some bullshit like conservative propaganda.
Oh yeah, I read it. I don't know, because I hate myself. I guess to like learn.
No, and I'm not saying that you have a moral failing for that. I primarily read things I hate.
I don't suggest it because like I think I can't remember Ann Coulter's books because they were the most
Jesus Christ.
But like Bill O'Reilly's were like, they were like easily digestible, and like I wouldn't call him like an extreme right winger. He had some kind of slightly progressive views. And then suddenly, like in like 1999, 2000, or 2002, 2003, something like that, somewhere around the Iraq War, he just like went off the deep end, and like the reading level just like starkly, like I finished one book, opened the other one, and now it's like written at a much lower reading level.
It's like Go Dog Go, C Spot Run.
like a Percy Jackson novel. You know what I mean?
I never read those.
Well, did you read young adult fiction? Like books for middle school kids?
I really did not, honestly.
Oh, I read a lot. I read a shit ton when I was a kid, so maybe it's hard to imagine if you didn't.
Yeah, I never read a lot of fiction as a kid, actually.
I read a lot of fiction news. I just read a lot when I was a kid.
Like the only like real young adult stuff that I can remember reading was The Lord of the Rings, which I read several times, but yeah, I was never. I hated Harry Potter and still refuse to engage with it to this day. And you know what? Given how J.K. Rowling turned out, I think I made the right choice.
Yeah, man, I almost wish that I could protest not read it. just for some cred,
just for some street cred.
Yeah, just for some cred.
Let's go ahead and go to the next link because we've been dogging on the Democrats for a little bit. Yeah, your governor.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no. Sorry, this is more housing stuff.
Okay. Oh, more housing.
I thought that was Abbott that I was seeing in the. But anyways, Governor Abbott, your governor. I guess I didn't throw this link in. Decided that not only would he just ignore the findings of the IPCC report, but he would get mad at Joe Biden for trying to outsource oil when hardworking Texans are. I think I just didn't put the link in. Don't.
Okay.
Try to search for it.
Sure.
Yeah. But he's mad that hardworking Texans aren't being put on the job because there's plenty of oil to drill in Texas. Yeah, so not only completely missing the point of the report, but also just actively ignoring it and persisting in trying to compete for oil production. Yeah, Democrats are just gonna ignore it and do bad shit, but Republicans are really gonna ignore it and really do bad shit. What a wonderful two-party system we've got here.
So glad.
So, you know, one of the major things I've seen on this is, of course, the liberal reaction to this is we need more renewables. And you know they're not entirely wrong, but
Yeah.
I would caution about some forms of renewables, which is this next link that we have. Actually, just go to the one after that. It's more comprehensive, I think. And scroll down a little bit. Oh man, it's making you. All right. Well, if it's gonna try to make you sign up for shit, I'll just summarize it. There was a Tesla like massive what do they call it? Tesla Megapack, which is like a big utility battery basically. So you know it stores energy, and I don't know how this. I mean, you still have to generate that energy in some way for it to go into these battery packs. So I guess
Yeah.
the idea is that like it's capturing solar or renewables and storing them more efficiently than like a regular power plant would. The problem is that in Victoria, Australia, one of these Tesla Megapacks caught on fire, and it took firefighters. I think it's like 5 days. It was like 100 or something firefighters working on this for 5 days to put the fire out because lithium, as a alkaline metal, is highly reactive to things. And the way that they had to put it out was by dumping 28 tons of cement onto the power pack, mega pack, whatever you want to call it. They had to do this because lithium is highly reactive to water, and if they tried to spray down these batteries with water, they would fucking explode.
Yep.
As somebody who works for a municipal district, I get people calling me all the time with great offers for installation of these kind of facilities, more on a small scale level, but you know every now and then somebody will get I don't know the wrong information or not understand like what my limited role in government is, and they'll be like, would you like to install a Tesla Megapack in your city? And I'm like, I don't have the sign off ability on that at all. But I constantly have to shoot these down, and what's unfortunate now is we have some leadership in the area that I work in who kind of buy into this like technocratic Elon Musk is a genius sort of shit, and you know well maybe we should look into getting some of these kind of things for some of our facilities and stuff like that, and I gently explain to them that they're fucking retarded.
Yeah.
So one of the major things that I would say is like something that just has massive alarm bells in my mind is, first off, these batteries are massive and they're full of lithium. As stated earlier, lithium is highly reactive to water.
Fucking poisonous as shit.
Yeah, it's also like extremely toxic. The production of lithium batteries is like its own climate nightmare with emissions. And then on top of that, I've seen the effects of like a regular power grid not being properly funded, and how much destruction that causes. So is this advancement, quote unquote, really going to be that much better if I think Victoria, Australia is lucky that this fire that lasted for several days and needed 28 tons of cement didn't like spread further or turn into an explosion that would set off all the rest of the batteries around it, because it wasn't like the whole plant caught on fire. It took that much effort for just like a couple of cells in this power this mega plant or whatever the fuck they call it. The Tesla Megapack at the Victorian Big Battery. That's what they call it. The Victorian Big Battery. So let's go ahead and click on the next link there. So Joe Biden has committed to replacing the entire federal fleet with electric vehicles. Do I think this is a bad thing? Yes. The reason I think it's a bad thing is because it's going to put the government in some compromising contracts, I think, and we'll go into that on the next link. But seeing this kind of thing firsthand, where the government gets involved in some kind of, and this is a thing that's actually happening in my municipality, is we are getting some Tesla charging stations, right? And the Tesla charging stations will work on any electric vehicle. However, they are optimized for Tesla vehicles and will only fast charge Tesla vehicles. So
wait. They're putting infrastructure specifically.
Yes, they're putting in infrastructure that is biased towards a certain company, and a certain company is going to reap the profits of this infrastructure that we're placing. And so that's why this is a bad thing, because you are going to get all of these kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Proprietary systems. That are going to be in constant competition with each other. When you're talking on the federal level, Tesla's reach is only so far, and so you're going to get basically turf wars of oh, this is Ford's electronic vehicle area, this is Tesla's electronic vehicle area, this is Chevy's electronic vehicle area.
This is completely ridiculous, because we already have regulations on providing different kinds of charging stations. It's not mobile homes. There are rules because some mobile homes are 20 amp, have 20 input inverters. Some have 30, and some have 50, and they get I think 50 is the biggest. Those are those super bus things,
Mm-hmm.
And that the thing can run for 8 hours without turning the generator on. It's ridiculous, but they're just standard fucking outlets.
Yeah,
there's no reason that you have to have some special shit for your car. And even Harley Davidson has an electric motorcycle, and you can just plug it into it has an adapter that you can plug into a fucking normal fucking high voltage circuit.
Yeah, so we're not going to see that with electric vehicles, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, no, because people are trying to get Tesla to fucking take over, or to get a monopoly on it.
Yeah, and so I was trying to think of examples in the real world that I could connect this idea to, and kind of demonstrate that not only is this something that I'm hypothesizing and kind of seeing my own area, but it's something that has a historical basis. And so if we go to the next link, of course the military, as the nomad force it is, has already done this kind of thing. A couple of years ago, I think this is 2019, if we want to go, no, this is back in 2014. There was another case in 2019 where I think this happened, but this is back in 2014. The government had some major contracts with some manufacturers of tanks, and the army, this is real deep in the war in Afghanistan, and the military was kind of they didn't want to use tanks in Afghanistan, and the reasoning was kind of silly, but it also kind of makes sense. When Russia invaded Afghanistan, they used a lot of tanks, and they wanted to be perceived as a different kind of invading force than Russia. They wanted to, in the pursuit of winning hearts and minds, which always works out for America. They wanted to be seen as a different kind of fighting force, not here to conquer, but here to help. And so
Yeah.
that's where actually like a lot of the MRAP program kind of evolved out of was we want the same protections as of tanks, but without the tank look, because that'll trigger the Afghan people.
Yeah, it's up armored minivans.
Yeah, and then we did this really cool thing where Obama expanded the drone program, so now we have a new horrific thing that we've placed on the people of Afghanistan and Pakistan, and
I mean,
actually just every Middle Eastern country where they fear the skies now instead of fearing the tanks on ground. Which yeah, it's a little bit funny, but also like incredibly fucking sad. I don't know.
yeah,
I'm not like saying,
no,
hey, don't laugh at this, but
yeah, no, like it's just kind of like what's more horrific, and I can imagine there's some like establishment like fucking authoritarian
oh,
liberal.
there's a calculation in here somewhere,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
that predator drones are somehow like more humane than
Yeah.
like a fucking tank.
Well,
on a
you
hill.
you already don't want to look up at the sky sometimes because the sun is up there and it might
Yeah,
blind you. So
Yeah, no,
the
it's
sky's already a little scary.
yeah, it's it's a bit gentler. You don't see it coming.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe a bit of a whistle.
you just know not to ever have a wedding.
Don't get in groups of 10 or more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the army, you know, made the recommendation to Congress when they were, putting together a budget. Yeah, we don't want tanks, and Congress, because of its ties to the military-industrial complex, all these manufacturers of tanks still put in 120 million for tanks that the army didn't want. And I don't know how many tanks that buys. I assume it buys a pretty fair amount of tanks. We'll just, give them the benefit of the doubt and say it bought 100 tanks or something like that. But that's 100, manufactured items that have absolutely no use, immediately went into a tank graveyard, and we're just kind of like parted out bit by bit. But as you can't just part out everything. You're never going to get a 100% return on that piece of equipment. You're not gonna like every single piece of that piece of equipment is not going to be able to be parted out. You're gonna have pieces remaining, and that's all overproduction for the sake of overproduction for the sake of profit, right?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and like also doing this to the military, which because like I know that we like write blank checks to the military, and often, especially since this war started, but they still what do you call it? They still have to come up with a budget of what to do with these tanks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you buy them 120 million dollars worth of tanks. Now the military has to figure out the budget of taking care of 120 million dollars worth of tanks. So it becomes more and more fucking expensive.
Yeah.
But it's okay to spend fucking trillions and trillions of dollars on a military for some reason.
Yeah, and so this is one of the hazards I think that we're going to see with the Biden push to change everything over to electric vehicles is not only are electric vehicles not a solution to the problem because of the emissions from manufacturing them, the emissions for the power that it takes to charge these vehicles, the proprietary systems that we're going to see implemented as like part of government projects. Just the fact that even in the case that these mega battery pack facilities, were something that are desirable. The fact that it is a Tesla mega pack facility, not like a generic, you can use any kind of piece of replacement parts or whatever kind of facility, but the fact that it is notably Tesla and it is proprietary equipment, um, you know, speaking from the municipal side of things, a lot of our current infrastructure is like I could buy a pipe from any fucking company and throw the pipe into the plumbing system that we have.
Yeah.
These Tesla systems are specifically designed to require Tesla replacement parts. And we've seen this kind of encroachment in my municipality with HVAC systems, especially because those are, like building automation systems are easier to make proprietary because you're buying, let's say, a bunch of Carrier cooling units, and then you install them, and then Carrier says, oh hey, the only way that you can run the system is through our program that we developed to run all these units. So there's no way for us to escape this Carrier contract without incurring like an exorbitant cost to change all of this communication infrastructure to a completely different system, and then it's just a different system that's also proprietary. And so if we ever need to change that, we also have to switch to whatever the next company is and their proprietary system. So it's kind of like a infinite loop of like money recursion, I guess. And this is exactly what's going to happen with the Biden drive for more electric vehicles, making the entire fleet of federal vehicles electric. Really what needs to happen is we just need to rely on vehicles less.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like, not everybody have to need a vehicle. I shouldn't need a personal vehicle, at least not one that's well, I probably shouldn't need a vehicle. I should be able to do public transportation for getting around for my life. But yeah, I do need a vehicle for work. But that's because I have to haul equipment and stuff like that, like things that are impossible for the human body to do.
There's going to be some circumstances where you have to have a vehicle because you're doing physical work.
Yeah, we just need to reduce the amount of vehicles that we
absolutely
have out there.
Making more vehicles that put out less carbon emissions isn't really the solution when you consider that making these vehicles puts out massive amounts of carbon emissions. So that's kind of the general climate change, not great. Capitalism can't fix it. And when I say capitalism can't fix it, I also mean to say that any party that identifies itself as capitalist is not an effective party for the situation that we have, which is becoming more and more dire. So the Republican Party obviously is just like full of demons who want to see the world burn. The Democratic Party at least pays the lip service to the cause, but because they are a capitalist party, they can't do the change that is necessary because they're always going to find some kind of profit motive driven way of trying to make climate change better or trying to reduce our emissions. And it really what needs to happen is we just need to reduce what we do. And obviously when I say reduce what we do, I don't mean like the general public. I mean like a handful of rich people that like contribute most carbon emissions. Not letting billionaires fly to space on little joy rides, because not only do you have the emissions of their flight to space, but you also have the emissions of everything that it took to manufacture that vehicle that goes to space. All the R&D that goes into it, all the emissions from that. There's 100 companies that produce 70% of emissions, and so they should obviously be the target of reducing what we do. And obviously, coming up with better ways to produce energy is a good idea, but really what it comes down to is, um, there's some points of extravagance, and I talk to people a lot in my DMs on Instagram about how I really hate like the idea of the champagne socialist, because it it implies that like everybody can be rich and live lavishly, and really what we need to do is live kind of more simple, less lavish lives. We need to, you know, the companies that produce the most emissions, of course, need to be like drawn and quartered or whatever. But we also, like, as a general populace, need to, and it's hard to think of this when you're poor, right? Because you're not the problem if you're poor. Just go ahead and throw that out there. The
Yeah, you can't really affect the world.
Yeah, I forget where I saw it, and I probably should have grabbed this link, but maybe we can look at it some other time. But the upper, like, I think it's the upper like 25% of wealth actually like creates more emissions than the lower 75%. It's something like that.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah. So like the vast majority of people aren't producing nearly as much emissions as like the top quarter, and especially when once you get up to like that top 0.1%, or yeah, 0.1%, like those people are creating way more emissions than everybody else.
Yeah, and I mean I guess that is true because like especially these like new houses that are going up, that are being built. I don't do residential construction, but I do a bit of residential service. And just because of the type of company that I am, like it's mostly commercial. But
Yeah.
what I do, but either way, the houses that I usually go to are rich people's houses.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes these houses were built within a few years. This is the first owner, and they want to do a massive like renovation.
Yeah.
And they either already have a electrical service that can pull one and a half times or even three times as much as like a normal standard house.
Yep.
The vast majority of us normal people, the buildings that we live in, that one rich, or not rich, but even just well-to-do, affluent, or whatever the classifications of the bourgeois, the upper classes are masters. But yeah, they're taking that. So yeah, they potentially are using three times as much energy just like in their living quarters, let alone whatever else they're doing.
Absolutely. And so I want to make it clear that when I say we need to reduce our extravagance, our lavishness, I'm not talking about we as in like you or I who live in tiny apartments and really don't use that much energy. I mean we as in like the general like idea of like how much we use as a public, but not focused on like if you're poor, you're not the problem. Plain and simple, you're not the problem. It's the affluent people who spend so much more and consume so much more, and they really just need to be able to accept that, like, maybe live in like more modest conditions.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean when like I say I hate the idea of the champagne socialist that thinks like we just need to distribute the wealth evenly and we'll all be fine and happy and live luxurious life. Like, luxury is an unsustainable concept. Luxury not only demands a slave class of labor, but also luxury is necessarily just exceeding what you should actually consume. And so living any kind of luxurious life is completely at odds with any kind of climate change reform.
Yeah.
So that's my rant on that. We ended on the military, and I kind of wanted to tie this in a neat way. Not neat as in like, oh cool, but neat as in like it flows. So the Taliban, if you want to click on that next link, the Taliban, ever since we decided to abruptly leave Afghanistan, which I will go on record as saying I think we should have left Afghanistan a long time ago.
Yeah, for sure.
We probably actually did more recruiting for the Taliban over like the last 20 years than the Taliban has ever done in its lifetime. And now that we've evacuated the area, we've created a power vacuum, and the Taliban is able to rear its head and take over 2/3 of Afghanistan now. Is the report that I've seen. Typical to the U.S. and its engagements overseas. It is worth noting that we were never asked by Afghanistan to invade Afghanistan to begin with.
Depose its government and create a new one.
Yeah, so we went over there. We tried to make a government that it turns out maybe a lot of people in Afghanistan don't want. And that's perfectly valid. If you have to force a government onto a place, and like we should respect a country's right to self-determination, right? And that's actually one of the more technically democratic things we could do. Little d democratic, democracy. One of the more democratic things we could do is allow these countries to self-actuate, make their own forms of government. Maybe it's not a form of government that we really like, but the idea that America, again, not a democracy, could spread democracy in a different country is asinine, because it's not even the political model that we follow. So yeah, we entered Afghanistan. We fucked it up for a long time. We're leaving without having, one of the things that I've seen from some sort of like leftist commentators is that like we didn't do the government building that we should have. And the problem I have with that is like we should have never tried to do government building in the first place. We should have never gone into Afghanistan the way we did. It's been proven that multiple times we knew where Osama bin Laden was, and we could have taken him out if we really needed to, but we decided not to. And there's an argument to be made there that is intentional to prolonging this war. So as is typical with how the U.S. engages with these countries when it invades them, we created networks of interpreters, networks of informants, networks of people working for the U.S., whether it's serving food in the chow halls of military bases or whatever you have. And what's happening now is not only are U.S. personnel in like an embassy ambassador capacity like at risk now, but we also have the families of all these interpreters. Some of these interpreters are being granted like emergency status to immigrate to the U.S. But some of their families are being left behind, and the concern is that these families are going to be punished for what the U.S. aligned Afghan people did. So that's the next slide, actually, I think, or next link. So the U.S. pulled out abruptly. I posited a long time ago that this would obviously weaken security in the region, and the excuse would be that, oh, hey, we're being attacked, so now we need to send troops back. Turns out, like, more or less kind of right. The proposition here is that this is just going to be a quick in and out sort of force, secure some areas, get people out safely, and then leave. That's the plan, and I would say that the actual plan. That's the stated plan of the government. I would say that the actual plan is that there's going to be some hairy engagements with this new force, and they're going to use that to justify a continued peacekeeping or security force in the area, and basically just extend the occupation, but with like the political optics of having withdrawn, right?
Yeah.
So having your cake and eating it too.
Like not to be a conspiracy theorist or anything, but all the I don't know, coddling or whatever you want to call it, of like people being like, oh wow, like the Taliban, it's just like they're moving back into their old offices like nothing ever happened. And like the US government has been like, oh, don't worry, the Afghan government has an air force, and they have tanks, and they have all this other stuff. And it's like, well, who do you think is going to have all that shit? Like they've taken over 2/3 of the country. So they're
right. And that's actually
us
something that go ahead.
what's in the country. So they're gonna. I bet you they're going to use, like, when the Taliban eventually take over the whole country. And now the Taliban has an air force. All they have to do is recruit people who can fly them. Fucking, they're going to use that to justify.
No, the Taliban has actually already been spotted driving around Humvees that were captured.
Oh yeah.
Other armored vehicles that were captured. Strangely enough, walking around with like U.S. military small arms like M4s and M16s. So yeah, we absolutely not only didn't do anything positive over there, but we left them an infrastructure with which they could capture Afghanistan, which coincidentally is not the first time we've done this. I mean, that's basically what we did when when we
the Taliban had an ambassador to the U.S. at one point, didn't they? Like back in
yeah, I mean, I'm not super sure on that particular point, but
well, they had ambassadors to countries, I believe. Like they
yeah,
they're not just a terrorist organization.
No, and to reduce them to that is silly, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the ruling party of Afghanistan before we entered, essentially.
Yeah.
And like I said, we did a shit ton of recruiting for them by invading their country.
Yeah.
People are like, why is the Afghan National Army crumbling to this attacking force? And it's like, well, I don't know if you ever got this talk, but I did when I was on post. I was told to never trust the Afghan National Army because the Afghan National Army has a bunch of sympathies towards the Taliban.
Yeah.
Because they both, like, the Afghan National Army is people that are just like faking the funk a lot of times. And they both groups, regular Afghan people and the Taliban, both see us as an invading force because we are an invading force. We are the outsiders going into their country and destroying it. So of course they have sympathies with each other, and of course they're not like as opposed as we ever wanted to believe, where like this government that we propped up and we put into place is going to be resistant to other Afghans who have a right to this country in some way, who used to rule this country before we came in and installed a government that they don't largely agree with.
And doesn't really like affect half the country's like lives in much of a way, other than coming around and like demanding shit of them once in a while.
Yeah, and that's the thing is there's all this worry about like, oh my god, they're gonna kill a bunch of Afghan citizens. Guess what America has done for the last 20 fucking years? 9 out of 10 targets hit by Obama's drone strike campaign were unintended targets. We killed more civilians than we killed people who were actual militants. And that's by the government's own definitions, which are generous towards the government's actions.
Yeah.
So I would say probably 9.5 out of 10 targets were actually unintended targets.
Oh yeah. They definitely round it down.
Of course. And I mean, you know, you gotta take into the consideration that for a long time the military's stance on it was any male over the age of 16 was considered a militant.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they're armed or actually fighting anyone, they're considered a militant or an insurgent, whatever the term was that they used for the reporting. Let's go to the next link.
Oh,
Well, that sucks.
they will.
So we'll go to the link after that. This is footage from the U.S. retreat from Saigon, because I feel like it's got a lot of relevance to what's happening right now. You know, I talked about the interpreter families that are being left behind, the interpreters that are being left behind. You know, if you weren't in enough with the American coalition, you're not guaranteed a place back in America. And this parallels almost to a T exactly everything that happened in Vietnam. So this is from 1975. Obviously, right now we're in 2021, but the parallels are so distinct that I think it's interesting to get this this view of the past and how we really haven't learned anything in how we operate.
And other foreigners lined up at installations around Saigon waiting for buses with their cues. It told the Vietnamese that this was the end of the line. For those who wanted to leave their country, this would be their last chance. Some Americans who pushed towards the bus tried to pull their Vietnamese wives and children along with them. It was a desperate scene, with families separated and crying out for help, pleading not to be left behind, clutching the last straw of hope. We rode through the streets of Saigon for more than 4 hours, unable to find a way out or anyone who could tell us where to go. At Consummate Airport, armed paratroopers turned our buses back. At one point, we were unloaded on the Saigon waterfront, where we could see American helicopters circling the city, and Vietnamese trying to escape on boats heading to the sea. No one wanted to be left in this crowd that at times was strangely quiet, but that always was on the verge of panic. We all decided to try and reach the United States Embassy, and once there, we found it surrounded by Vietnamese looking for a way in and a way out. Helicopters were landing on the roof and inside the compound as we walked to the back of the embassy. We had to push and shove our way through a crowd of several hundred Vietnamese trying to scale the walls, only to be knocked back by U.S. Marines. Once inside the compound, for the Americans and those Vietnamese who managed to get in with legal documents, and the many who managed entrance without, the rest was easy. It was just a matter of waiting your turn for a helicopter to take you to one of the ships on station off the Vietnamese coast. The American fleet had been having problems since the start of the evacuation with the arrival of South Vietnamese pilots and their helicopters loaded with family and friends. Hovering above the decks to unload their passengers, the pilots were unfamiliar with landing their craft in a moving ship. One crashed into the side of the USS Blue Ridge, others managed to crash land on the deck of the ship. For those who did manage to put down, they were simply pushed over the side and into the sea by U.S. sailors and Marines to make room for the returning American craft based on that ship, filled with evacuees from Saigon. Other South Vietnamese pilots just hovered long enough to unload their passengers and then headed to the side of the ship, just jumped out with their life vests to be picked up by U.S. sailors. Their helicopters crashing into the sea. Still, the pilots headed out to the side of the ships after unloading their passengers and settled the craft into the water and then jumped out, again waiting to be picked up by U.S. sailors.
So, what strategy was better?
I'm gonna say like just on pure aesthetics, hovering over and then jumping out, way cooler.
Yeah, yeah,
That's action scene kind of shit.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. That's how you get a movie made out of it. Made up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The like already submerging and then kind of like just wading out.
You
Weak.
kind of impotently let your vehicle stall out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gross.
Being cucked by the water.
Instead of penetrating it.
Yeah, I don't think we really need to watch much more of that. The yeah, like I said, the parallels are striking. You know, the military is sending 3,000 people to Afghanistan to aid in this evacuation process. The U.S. government is saying it's not an evacuation; it's a security mission to help some people leave. So like the rhetorical line that they're walking is like so obtuse. It's pretty funny.
Well, see, this is why they did the whole, you know, we'll be out by September 11th, but then they're like, we're getting done early. You know, they're like tenants that moved out before their lease was up and then moved back in suddenly.
Things at the new place didn't work out.
Yeah.
All right, if you want to go ahead and go to the next link.
Oh,
Next link. So yeah, this is I don't think we need to go into this. I already kind of said it already. Like I said, some of these links are just to remind me what to talk about. But basically, this former army captain is talking about how these interpreters are going to be hunted down and killed, and they probably will be.
I listened to this guy actually.
Oh, okay, yeah. And I mean, if we're going to go through the action of invading a country and turning some people to our side and making them work for us or whatever, which often isn't done, you know, a lot of these interpreters don't really have a choice. So like, well, do I live in squalor and die, or do I help the invading force talk to other people in my country? They don't really have like a great option there. And so if we're gonna go into another country and do what we've done, we should at least I don't know, maybe honor the help that was given to us by some people. Maybe not just let them die.
Yeah.
So that's what that link was about. And then, you know, the final point that I want to make is, you know, Biden is pulling out of Afghanistan. If you want to go to the next link.
Oh, yes.
Biden's pulling out of Afghanistan. He's made some interesting statements about how he never thought the war in Afghanistan was a good idea or anything like that. It turns out that if you go through the fact check, Biden actually voted for the war in Afghanistan. The congressional authorization to enter into Afghanistan with troops was something that he voted in favor of. So, you know, he's pulling us out of Afghanistan. He's doing it in this really haphazard way, and really, it's something that, you know, yeah, if he voted against it, he would still it would still go through, right? But he did vote for it, and it's telling that, you know, he's part of this group of war hawks that, you know, got us into Afghanistan in the first place, and now he's pulling out of it in a really haphazard way. You know, if it was me, I would take the responsibility of saying, man, I really made a bad call there. Let me try to do this in the best way possible. But that's not the Joe Biden way.
This is such bullshit, because like I hate mainstream news.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah, I just skimmed over this and it's like misleading. He fucking lied.
Yeah, right. No, that's one of my favorite things is how liberals will always like pull out like a Snopes or a PolitiFact article, and it's like, no, so and so didn't say that immigrant children should die. He said that they shouldn't live. It's
He
like,
might have been speaking imprecisely.
yeah, he was speaking imprecisely, but what we think he meant, and it's like, no, do the actual fact check, please.
Yeah.
The fact check stuff is fucking
Or what
hilarious to me.
well, yeah, like when Snopes started saying what they could have meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, what did they say?
Exactly.
Let them fucking come out and fucking, I don't know, rationalize. Like, I don't know. Why do we rationalize for other people?
After the podcast, I'll talk to you for a second. We actually have an old friend of ours that started working for Snopes, and I think you'll find it funny who it is.
Oh, I know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of typical person to work for Snopes, I think. So let's we've been going into some dark things. Let's lighten it up a little bit with our next link.
Yeah, lighten it up. Let's see.
Not that video, but the one below it is the one we want to look for.
This one right here.
Yeah, make sure we go to the beginning. But this is Andrew Cuomo admitting to a lot of things.
Oh, he's admitting. Last I heard,
not to what he did. He's admitting to certain identities that are very interesting. And I would like to point out that the Benzo Rehab Dungeon did an episode on cancel culture, and we specifically called out Governor Andrew Cuomo as a grifter piece of shit, which I'm sure made certain liberals angry or whatever, if liberals even watched the show. But yeah. It would. I can imagine that it would have.
If you guys knew about us.
Yeah, if you guys knew, if anybody more than 3 people knew about us, y'all would be fucking mad. But yeah, no, we called out Andrew Cuomo as a grifter, using the idea of cancel culture as a prop to further, deny what's obviously true about him. But he's going to admit to some certain identities here, and I think it's just important that we hear him on this.
Okay.
As a New Yorker, I am a Muslim. As a New Yorker, I am Jewish. As a New Yorker, I am Black. I am gay. I am disabled. I am a woman seeking to control her health and her choices, because as a New Yorker, we are one community. As a New Yorker, I am a Muslim.
Isn't that great?
Wow.
It reminded me of that song, I think it's Shania Twain, maybe?
I'm a bitch.
Yeah. I'm a bitch. I'm a mother. I'm a child. I'm a lover. I'm a sinner. I'm a saint. I'm Cuomo and I'm gay. That was all improv. I'm actually proud of myself for that one. So that's some fun news.
The audacity.
Yeah, the audacity to call himself gay when he's clearly bisexual.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah,
clearly a bisexual.
Those nipple piercings don't lie.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a little I don't know, palate refresher before we go into the recall of Governor Gavin Newsom, which is our next link.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think this will make me feel like I'm having like some kind of like waking nightmare.
It could.
Yeah. Good. Maybe.
So
maybe his neck, whatever's. I guess Botox can't fix that, or maybe that's what happens when you try to fix it with Botox.
Yeah, I think so. Have you ever heard Gavin Newsom's voice? It sounds like they actually or accidentally stuck him in the neck with a needle at some point.
Oh, really?
Because he's like, "Hey, I'm fucking Gavin Newsom. I got a real raspy voice." So Gavin Newsom, governor of California, my home state currently, is maybe going to be recalled. I've seen discussion on both sides of this whole debacle. the people recalling him don't have good motives. They're the shutdowns hurt my business sort of people, or mask mandates are ruining my freedoms, blah blah blah, etc. People. So not great. The conditions that he's being recalled under. But also Gavin Newsom is kind of a dumb asshole. So the problem that arises here, I've been asked by a couple of people, what my opinion on this whole situation is. Gavin Newsom is no friend to any kind of socialist movement, any kind of like actual progress, any kind of I don't know, not capitalist thing. He's a capitalist through and through. He's a businessman. He's got familial ties to the government, and just kind of, as part of a lineage of people who have been elected in the government, also got elected in the government. He started out with a pretty good response to COVID, but he had that good response to COVID, I think, because he thought it would be a very short-term thing. And when it came to the longer-term ways of dealing with COVID, he faltered because he gave in to all the big business pressure to reopen things way prematurely. This article we're looking at right now is one of his major gaffes during the pandemic, which is where he was telling everybody that you can't have gatherings larger than like 4 people, I think, for the holidays. And then he goes and he has dinner with a bunch of rich executives in the big pharma field, essentially. And this is before the vaccine is out and exists. So he's not like, oh, I'm vaccinated, I can have this dinner or anything like that. He's just having a dinner with a bunch of rich people as a rich person himself, while he's telling everybody else in California that they can't have big dinners.
Yeah, I mean, aristocrats still had parties during the Black Plague, right?
Of course, yeah,
No.
because
people
the
don't get
poor
disease.
people, well, yeah, black people,
Or have
not
tolls.
black people. I mixed up.
They're
I mixed up the plague, the Black Plague, and rich people. Rich people don't get the plague. Sorry.
Confirmed racist.
Yeah, confirmed racist. God
Yeah.
damn it, I did it.
Yep.
I just had a thing on my Instagram story where I forget what news outlet it was, but they were saying that alcohol makes people more racist, and I posited that it's actually just when you have your inhibitions lowered, what ugly things you hide inside yourself come out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I go on a podcast every week and I don't say racist shit, and here I am.
Yep. There you
Here I
are.
am.
Yep.
Sorry,
Freudian
guys.
slipping a bunch of racist cocks.
So that was one of his major gaffes in the COVID response. Another major gaffe was reopening things way too early. When he reopened things way too early, places like LA especially had massive spikes. LA actually became like the leading epicenter of the COVID spread for a couple of months, and the death toll was obscene for a while. Not quite to the level of New York, because Cuomo, yeah, we laughed at him for calling himself gay or whatever, but Cuomo's policy was horrific, and it's really, really sad that the reason that, and not diminishing the allegations against him, the sexual misconduct allegations, but it's really sad that it's those allegations that are dethroning him, and not the fact that he like directly led to the deaths of thousands of elderly people. So yeah, Gavin Newsom reopens everything way too early. That leads to a bunch of COVID cases that lead to deaths. Another reason to dislike Newsom is on the next link. In 2020, he signed a huge amount of fracking permits.
Oh yeah.
As somebody who's always saying things like we have to act on climate change, Gavin Newsom is like, yeah, go ahead and frack the fuck out of this state though. So there's plenty of reason to dislike Gavin Newsom. If you're far right, you dislike him because he like showed any basic compassion for people at the beginning of the pandemic. If you're someone who doesn't want the planet to burn up, and maybe I guess leftist at that point, you dislike Gavin Newsom because he's a piece of shit. But in the situation that Gavin Newsom gets recalled and we get someone like Larry Elder, seems to be the forerunner for the Republican side to take over as governor. And if you don't know who Larry Elder is, first, congratulations. Go ahead and shut the podcast off now so you don't have to learn who he is.
I gotta go. So I actually don't know who Larry Elder is.
Oh, you don't know who Larry Elder is?
Yeah,
oh,
no.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I haven't been following California politics that much.
No, that's okay. Larry Elder is a conservative talk show host.
Yes.
Who is black and a white supremacist.
Because he is a white supremacist. I knew it was going to go there.
Yeah. So not only is he a white supremacist, but he's also a race traitor.
Yeah.
A real Uncle Tom sort of figure. He constantly talks about how race isn't a problem in America, which of course it is.
Yeah.
He has gone on record saying several times that he thinks the minimum wage is bullshit. He's promising right now in his run that he's not going to try to get rid of the minimum wage in California, but he's fucking lying probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Larry Elder is a nightmare, and as little as I believe in harm reduction, I think Gavin Newsom is less of a nightmare. And I think, in the case of Larry Elder, you're going to have the sort of Trump effect where everybody is going to be hyperventilating about everything Larry Elder is doing. But in actuality, Larry Elder is just going to like do the same things Gavin Newsom was doing, but he's just going to have like shitty rhetoric about it.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Gavin Newsom's been a champion for the working class necessarily. It's not like he's
good on climate change or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not like he's good on climate change. It's not like he's good on, individuals' rights or anything like that. He's never been great on that. Like the most substantive thing he did during the protests of last year was say, "Hey, yeah, we understand why you're mad, but you shouldn't do bad things when you're mad." And then like he signed some bill that said police should only shoot people to death when it's necessary instead of when it is reasonable. But like literally just the change between you can only shoot people to death when it's necessary versus when it's reasonable. And then some like very lighthearted sort of like, yeah, we're gonna hold the police accountable sort of stuff. But out of all the brutal responses to the Black Lives Matter protests of last year, California easily matched like any southern state, any especially like New York. When I'm not saying that's a southern state, obviously, but New York had a particularly brutal response to these protests, and so did California. The LAPD. Look into that sometime. Maybe we'll just do a deep dive on that sometime. The LAPD is a fucking nightmare. The LAPD has actual Aryan gangs, actual like MS-13 adjacent gangs inside of it, which is hilarious because of how like everybody worries about MS-13. Well, like worse gangs are in the LAPD. And I'm not saying like they're MS-13 like allied. They're just like as bad as MS-13. What were you saying? Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, and well that uh, a shit ton of fucking legal authority over fucking people.
Yeah, and actually look this up real quick. Look up LAPD bombs neighborhood.
Yeah. Shit.
So that second link down.
I spilt my whiskey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
So the LAPD does a raid on some house that has a bunch of fireworks stored inside it. And then what they do is they overload a bomb squad truck with, and you know, you got to think like who's doing the calculation on this fucking thing.
Oh yeah, some fucking idiot.
Some fucking idiot, right?
Yeah.
The police department like actively recruits like average to below average people because it turns out when you're like smarter, you don't want to like abuse black people as much.
Yeah, you might actually like learn what you're allowed to do to people. And
Right? Yeah, you won't
fucking
just be a
intimidate
fucking
people and
asshole with a
people.
badge and a gun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what the LAPD does is they take all these fireworks that they've confiscated and they pack them all tightly inside of an enclosed trailer, and then they detonate them in place in the neighborhood instead of like, I don't know, driving an hour and a half out to the fucking desert or something.
What the fuck? So they
But,
did. So they're the ones that shouldn't have fucking fireworks.
Exactly.
Like everybody else was like apparently fine.
There were no explosions in that neighborhood until the LAPD came in.
No dangerous explosions. Yeah.
But if you scroll up, I think there's probably a video of it.
Oh, here we go. This.
Yeah, so maybe try to find a spot where that guy isn't talking because he looks like he sucks.
Legal explosives from the
Oh,
scene.
yeah.
The Department's total containment vessel, TCV, is a truck-mounted spear designed to help protect people, property.
It
You
looks
know
like
what?
it's
Look up the
just
same
area.
thing but on YouTube
Blast effects
instead.
of the-
Oh yeah.
Because I saw some ground level footage that like was catastrophic. I think they ended up wounding like 17 people or something like that.
Whoa. Yeah. Well, then actually,
That
LAPD
second one
does that all
down,
the
I
time.
think, is probably a good one.
So so there's like a big myth about like the LAPD being like particularly like well trained, like they're crack.
No,
you know, they're
fucking idiots.
They have a higher accuracy rate than like, you know, Marines and shit, like the military, blah blah. No, they miss people. They miss and hit people all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like they're not fucking crack shots. They fucking make situations way fucking worse. Like, sure, there was one guy shooting up a neighborhood. Now there's fucking 18. Or
Yeah.
maybe there wasn't even a guy shooting up a neighborhood. Somebody thought somebody might. have
Right.
shot up a
Somebody of a darker complexion carrying a cell phone at night. I don't know how you got on the Hornets, but I think we need to go back. Oh.
YouTube.
You know what? Go to that LA Times video, I think is.
LA Times. Oh wow.
Yeah. That's the fucking truck that they detonated the thing in. But this video should work.
That, and it's a diesel truck, so they
Yeah.
could probably caused a fucking diesel fire too.
Look at that. You got cars all around there fucking just turned over.
They fucking set off an IED.
No, they didn't set off an IED. They set off a fucking bomb.
Like, you remember when they did controlled explosions in Afghanistan? That shit was like a mile away.
Oh yeah. No, I actually had the benefit of the post that I was on overlooked the area where they would detonate those bombs, and they would specifically radio into me to warn me in advance that they were gonna set off something, because the shockwave would like actually knock me down if I was standing.
Oh wow.
and it would be like a mile out, and it would like fucking knock me down, and there would be like an actual mushroom cloud from those explosions. But continue the video. I think it might show like the actual like detonation. Oh, I was off by one person. Injured 16 people, not 17 people.
Oh, and killed one. Yeah, I was looking at
Did it
this.
kill one?
All right, I thought that's what you said.
No. It just injured 16 people, including police officers. So these fucking dumbasses blew them own selves up.
Yeah, at least which in like I don't see them carting away any cops. So I guess they pulled them out first.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because it's like they've got this like old lady, which I bet she didn't even have any fucking fireworks.
No. She was probably just like chilling in her fucking living room or whatever, and all of a sudden a massive fucking bomb goes off like just outside of her house on the street. And now she's fucked up.
Yeah. Pieces of shit.
Okay, a bomb squad was in the process of seizing more than 500,000, or not 500,000, 5,000 pounds of illegal fireworks.
Yeah.
So it was probably like a couple of houses or something like that. And they
must have gotten like the whole like development or something.
Yeah, they probably just went through and raided everybody, and then they packed them all into this fucking truck. And yeah, look at that, man. It's just it is unknown at this time what caused an explosion. They caused the explosion. They actually detonated in place. I saw ground level footage when this first happened. That's probably been lost to like all the algorithms or whatever, but I saw ground level footage where they were like issuing a brief warning, like there's going to be a detonation, and then it's like poof, and like everything fucking blows up because they grossly miscalculated what they were putting inside this trailer. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna show the explosion. That's fine. So we can continue with Gavin Newsom. This started with me criticizing Gavin Newsom for not actually doing anything substantive about the police, especially like the LAPD, the fracking thing, and then the very last link, and the reason that if Gavin Newsom ends up getting replaced by Larry Elder, it's going to be Gavin Newsom's fault.
Because he won't step down.
Beyond being just an asshole and somebody that the left should not be happy about, Gavin Newsom's strategy in this recall. So the ballot that's going to be coming out is going to ask a couple of questions. The first question is, should Gavin Newsom be recalled? There's a yes or no vote on that. If you vote yes, obviously your vote goes towards Gavin Newsom being recalled. If you vote no, you don't want him to be recalled. The second question is, if he is recalled, who should he be replaced by? So it doesn't matter if you vote yes or no on the first question. The second question is if. So your vote in the second question matters no matter how you feel about whether or not Gavin Newsom should be recalled. Gavin Newsom himself is saying don't even answer the second question. This is beyond any kind of strategic, progressive motivation or anything like that. It is hubris. It is narcissism, whatever you want to fucking call it. If everybody who wants Gavin Newsom to remain governor vote or doesn't vote on that second item, what they're doing is, if the Republican conservative vote wins and he gets recalled, they're going to be the decision makers in who replaces him, because the liberal voting base is not going to answer that second question. They're going to reduce the amount of votes on that second question, which is, if he is recalled, who do you want to replace him? So if we get Larry Elder as our next fucking governor, it is 100% Gavin Newsom's fault for not only just being an asshole, but also having this bizarre, deranged fucking voter strategy that he's rolled out that is self-defeating unless you accept that Gavin Newsom should be the governor.
I think it is worse than like Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Because it demands that you either show some like fealty to him, I guess.
Yeah.
or you get Larry Elder as the replacement. And this article is about don't want a Republican to replace Newsom in the recall. This YouTuber may be your only choice. And this guy is like some kind of like financial advisor YouTuber. So
gross.
yeah. Just pass on. And you know, this goes into a deeper point that eventually I should probably talk about, but I'll go into a little bit here. Is, you know, if the Democratic Party really wants us to fucking vote for them, they need to give us candidates worth voting for. The Democratic Party officially has offered no replacement to Gavin Newsom should he be recalled. Gavin Newsom is just the only option if you want to vote along the Democratic ticket. And as you know, established earlier, there's plenty of reasons to not want Gavin Newsom as the governor of California, whether you know you're on the right or left of politics.
This is where they're going to seduce the or court the elusive right-leaning independent.
Yeah. Yeah. One day we'll get the right-wing vote into the Democratic Party after we've compromised all of our ideals and become completely indistinguishable from the right. We will finally get that right-wing vote.
Tattoos.
Yeah. So I suppose that's where we'll end it tonight. We actually went much longer than I thought we would, considering I was just like babbling about shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, I figured that the show would be without personality after Danko died.
Yes, he is actually dead.
Yeah.
Unconfirmed as of yet, but actually dead.
Yeah. Unconfirmed, confirmed
it. So yeah, plugs I don't really have any plugs. Tomorrow early in the morning, foreign object, that's foreign spelled regularly _ object with a K, is going to be doing a seminar on memes with Danko as one of the panelists. I'll be attending. Nobody's probably going to listen to this before that even happens because it'll be like another hour before I put that out. Anyways, so that's going on. The workshop that we do is on a hiatus for the next month. As far as the Benzo Rehab Dungeon is concerned, if you would like to support this, go to patreon.com/BenzoRehabDungeon. Throw us a couple of bucks to help out with the production of this. Again, we will never, or at least as far as the Benzo Rehab Dungeon is concerned, we will never paywall anything or anything like that. So completely donation basis. Do you have anything to plug? Would you like to make an Instagram post anytime soon? Or
yeah, you know what? I again, I'll promise to think about it.
All right, well,
that's all I can.
Bold promises from John, the producer. As always, thank you for listening. We love you. Please take your medicine.
Take Danko's and make sure to save some for your friends.
Yes, beautiful. Hi, Michael Deebs here, with no gun pointed at my head. Please know that all content created for the Benzo Rehab Dungeon is, and always will be, freely available. However, if you would like to support this creation of content, we here at Camp Benzo would appreciate it, as the production itself is not free of cost. Anything donated will go to covering the various subscription fees maintained for content production or improving and expanding the content produced. If you are able to, please head on over to patreon.com/BenzoRehabDungeon. We also have shirts for sale on Teespring, all priced as low as we can get them without turning much or any profit. They are mostly so that you can show your loved ones that a necessary intervention may be on the horizon. Links to the merchandise storefront and our various social media profiles can be found on our link tree, which is the word linktr.ee/BenzoRehabDungeon. As always, we love you. Please take your medicine.